welcome back to ESBR Boxing's YouTube channel. Delighted to be joined by Greg. We're in final prediction mode for the big fight happening at Wembley Arena on Saturday, the 7th of December, for the European and British middleweight titles. It is, of course, the fight between Brad Pauls and Denzel Bentley. Cracking fight. Greg will maybe dissect it a little more as this video progresses, but to kick things off, I want you to tell me your final prediction. How do you see Brad Pauls, Denzel Bentley playing out on Saturday night?
Yeah, great to be joined by you, Paul. It's a hard fight, Paul, because Denzel Bentley can change a fight with one punch. Doesn't matter who he fights, the guy has got dynamite in his fists. Brad Pauls, he seems to be getting better fight by fight. He almost seems like the younger man, although he's older. Give you my final prediction before we get into it. I'm edging towards Brad Pauls. I think the momentum lies with him. I think that Denzel Bentley, although he's won his last two fights quite consecutively and early, I think there looks as though there's miles on the clock there now, I have to be honest. So, yeah, I'm probably leaning towards Brad Paul's second half of the fight at points, Paul.
Very interesting, mate. Very, very interesting. I always like when we do videos, whether it be with yourself, Elliot Stott, Owen, Elliot Greg, whoever it is. I love when we have a bit of a disagreement. 'Cause I'm going for Denzel Bentley. Not I'm not saying that with a huge amount of confidence. Sometimes I maybe we all are more confident in predictions sometimes when we make it than other times. I do think Denzel Bentley wins this fight. Um, and it is that thing that you've kind of mentioned there, that equalizer that he has, that dynamite he has in his fists. It's one of them where you looked at his last two fights, and yeah, say what you want about Danny Dignam and Derek Azazi, but two early knockouts. That Azazi one last time out was a cracking knockout as well. But then again, you can obviously say the same thing with Brad Pauls, as you mentioned, since that Tyler Denny defeat. He's been superb. He's been amazing
Yeah,
since then. The first Nathan Heaney fight, obviously, was it? I can't remember. Was it whether it was a draw or he got hard done by or something like
yeah,
that.
that's
Um,
exactly what it was.
but the second one, it's good to see the immediate rematch because the fans wanted to see it because they thought maybe that it was unjust. And yeah, he didn't leave anything to chance in the second fight, obviously stopping Nathan Heaney. Um, that's obviously the comparison that we kind of make. It's the obvious comparison to make when you're kind of predicting this fight and feeling about how it's going to play out. That Nathan Heaney one. So you're sitting there thinking, well, Nathan Heaney beat Denzel Bentley and Brad Pauls has beat Nathan Heaney arguably twice. So with that logic, you do go to Brad Pauls maybe as well. But as we know, and it's the age-old cliche in boxing as well, mate, like styles do make fights. It doesn't necessarily mean a thing, really. The only thing and the interesting thing that I kind of want to add on top of that is that when Nathan Heaney beat Denzel Bentley, Bentley was a big favorite. Just similarly, when Nathan Heaney fought Brad Pauls, I'm pretty sure Heaney was the favorite, so Brad Pauls was the underdog. So like again, looking like that underdog thing. Um, fairly split with the bookies this time. I think they're maybe edging it slightly towards Denzel Bentley. Said that I think the dynamite is the equalizer there for Bentley, and I could see a world in which he's perhaps behind on the cards and does stop. I'm not saying it's like he's 8-0 down and he pulls a knockout out of the bag. I think it'll be a close fight. Paul's perhaps maybe edging it, but I ultimately see Denzel Bentley becoming a two-time British middleweight champion, and yeah, adding that European strap as well. It's a really good fight and one I'm looking forward to. But yeah, a bit of a disagreement on today's video. Following up from that, Greg, I do want to ask about kind of the scene, I suppose, at middleweight. As I mentioned, the British middleweight titles on the line, as is the European. Hamza Sheeraz obviously dropping that European, having taken it off Tyler Denny. Um, Nathan Heaney maybe still in the mix unless he moves up. Look like Hamza Sheeraz is fighting obviously Carlos Damas now for that world title, so he's kind of left that British European scene behind. For you, is the winner of this, would you confidently say they're the best in Europe? Maybe difficult question because we don't know. There might be fighters out there across Europe that we're maybe not so privy to. But do you think this one of these two is definitely the best middleweight in Britain, whoever wins, or do you still think there's somebody else, excluding, by the way, Hamza Sheeraz and maybe Chris Eubank Jr.?
No, I think it's quite fair that these guys are competing for it. Paul, they've fought the serious fighters in the world in terms of, well, Denzel Bentley has. He's fought Janabek Alumnikali. He put up a really good performance in that fight. He surprised everyone. Um, I think it's worthy because it's a tough one, Paul. Because like you say, there's European fighters out there that could probably on their best night beat these two, but there's also European fighters that win this title, and you think Denzel Bentley or Brad Pauls would probably beat them. So I think it's a fair enough fight for the title. But I'm actually looking forward to it the more that I've looked into it now.
Yeah, for sure, mate. I think we've mentioned it a few times before as well. It's kind of interesting on this British level. You kind of talk about whether or not these are maybe above it, and you're because the European title is on the line. But you've got the likes of these two. Yes, Nathan Heaney's lost to Brad Paul, but he beat Bentley, so you can still throw him into the mix if he's hanging about. Tyler Denny obviously got stopped by Hamza Sheeran, laughed him out. But has a win over Brad Paul's his only defeat in his record, so you can kind of throw him. We could almost find ourselves in a situation here where there's a little kind of a round robin for the British title and European title on British shores, maybe in the next couple of years. So that's certainly, yeah, certainly interesting. But yeah, I can't disagree with anything you said, mate. I think this is a cracking fight, and as closer we've got the fight night, I've really looked forward to it. I think I kind of crept up on it because of December. All eyes on Usyk Fury too. This is kind of
Yeah,
just like, oh, this is like a little appetizer a couple of weeks before. So yeah, looking forward to it, mate. Just final
yeah.
question for me before we wrap it up, Greg. Where does the winner go here? You're predicting Brad Paul's the win. Where does he go after this if he is to beat Denzel Bentley?
I think the winner has to stay at European level. I don't think they're ready to push on yet, Paul, if I'm being completely honest with you. To quickly tie in with what you were saying there, I would like to see Brad Paul wins. I would like to see him defend that European title against a couple of hard Eastern European fighters and build up a bit of a resume, if we say so. But to agree with you and your point, I went back and I watched Nathan Heaney and Brad Pauls. I didn't like the way Brad Pauls reacted to a shot that Heaney landed early in the rematch, and I'm thinking, Denzel Bentley lands that, kid, you're out of there, so you're going to need to be really, really careful. I just think that he could outwork Denzel Bentley, but like you say, the bookies can't split them either. They've got Denzel Bentley very, very slight favourite, 4-6, and Brad Paul's 11-10. But to sum it up, Paul, I think whoever wins, I think they've got to kind of look at staying at European level for a fight or two before they kick on because the top of that middleweight division's a bit stacked at the moment.
Yeah, definitely, mate. I think there's a gulfing class maybe between that
Yeah,
European level and that world level. I think it's a bigger step than maybe other divisions have between their European and world level. I totally agree with it. Yeah. Well, I've really enjoyed this video with you, Greg. Good to be doing content with you. And guys, if you enjoyed this video, please do hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're not doing so already. Videos like this, final predictions, previews, review shows, and big fight breakdowns, betting tip shows, interviews with fighters, and we're at basically every show and we can get to now as well. So yeah, please do check out the rest of the channel. And all that's left for me to say is, Greg, thanks very much for joining me, mate, and I'll speak to you again very soon.
pleasure as always, Paul.